I'm going to sit down today, just kind of do like we do for House of His Presence, and just share some thoughts with you. This morning, we're carrying on just from the theme of the weekend as Niagara Now, rebuilding the tabernacle of David. If you're going to be part of this church, that's got to be important to you. Really, if you're going to be part of this church, not that I'm saying you can't be a part of this church, but really, I mean, you need to understand this and be part of what it means to rebuild the tabernacle of David. I fully believe, I'll be preaching about this today. Not this message, but about the tabernacle of David at the Scotia Center today. Please pray for my voice. I'm going to be closing up the day. But the tabernacle of David is so important. It's everything that God's doing in this hour. And, you know, if you're not part of that, I just kind of have this feeling that you'll be really so far less than what your experience with God is supposed to be and could be. And you know, this has been said over the years that when the days come, God's going to be refining and calling out those who really belong to Him. And they're called the seekers. He's looking for the remnant seekers, those who really have a heart for Him. And when the Lord does eventually bring to the church to be with Him, He's not going to be bringing half-hearted people. I don't see that. I don't see Him bringing half-hearted people to heaven. Do you know what I'm saying? He's not bringing people who really didn't even want to live for Him here. Like, ask the question, why would He want you in heaven? Why would He want you there? You didn't want Him here. I just had that thought. Why would He want you in heaven if you didn't even love what He did here? Yeah, I'm going to fill the heavens with people who are just grouchy and don't really care about me. Logic would say it doesn't work. How many have heard the expression, the kingdom comes now? How many are living it right now? How many experience the kingdom now? It's the kingdom is now. There was a lot of people who thought, oh, we can't preach the kingdoms now. They're all sourpusses. But the kingdom is now, but the way you're really going to, I believe, walk into the fullness of the kingdom in this hour is the tabernacle of David. So I want to ask you a question. What are you doing with the presence of God? What are you doing with the presence of God? There's this mindset in some people that don't need to do anything. He's just always here. His presence is just here. I don't really need to do anything, you know. To seek His presence for more, people go, well, why would you do that? Why would you need to seek for more? He's just here. Honest, there's some people, they don't understand what we're talking about when you say pursue the presence of God. They will go, well, God's everywhere. But I want to say this to you guys this morning is that when we say more of His presence, we want more of His presence, that's because there is more to be experienced. There would be, I did this with our class on the one day. There's different levels of God's presence. There's the part where His presence is in the earth. I mean, it is here. If it wasn't, all of life and humanity would just absolutely go into chaos. So His presence is there, but that's one level. That's the level that the entire world experiences His presence. And that's why people can even experience right and wrong, because His presence is on the earth. But if you said there's no more, then that would be all we could ever have. So if there's more, then what's another level? The next level will be when you push in and you receive Him and His presence into your life, into your heart. You've now pursued it further, and now you have that presence indwelling in you. Okay? So now that's you've stepped there more. And then there's another level where it says, if two or three gather together, there do I come. So there's another level of His presence. Now, I can't go through all these levels, but to say today, except for to say this, if you've ever heard people say, well, why should we seek Him? Why should we pursue Him? He's here already. We don't have to ask Him to come. It's because there's more to experience. And I asked this question yesterday. Do you have all of God right now? Are you? I mean, is your experience completely so full that there's no more room to experience more of God? That's why we pursue Him, because there's more to be experienced. With that, I want to ask you, so what are you doing with the presence of God? What are you doing with the presence of God? I want to go, and I want to go to 1 Chronicles. If you want to grab your Bible, 1 Chronicles chapter 13. And this is the beginning where David gets in his heart that he wants to bring the presence of God in the ark to Jerusalem. So David decides that, somewhere it was stirred within his heart, and I love this. God had to have stirred David's heart. Because something in him said, I need the ark in Jerusalem. I want the ark in Jerusalem. There must have been a stirring going on, Kurt. It just, you know what I'm saying? How many know that when you move to do something with God, there's a stirring? Do you know how Niagara Now began? With a stirring. I said to Rosemary, I don't know why. I'm just feeling like I'm supposed to bring all the people who have been part of the of Revival Niagara together for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe barbecue. Maybe we'll just have more of the house off barbecue. I really didn't know why. But I had this stirring that I was supposed to bring these people together just because, and maybe thank them for helping us over 2 years of Revival Niagara. All the people who preached and ministered. And that was a stirring. Now let me say this. Some of you are going, I'm not prophetic. Well, have you ever had a stirring? That's prophetic. Come on, that's how Niagara Now began, with a stirring. I didn't have a word in the nighttime. I didn't have this or that. I had a stirring. Come on, you guys are probably more prophetic than you think. Yesterday, someone had a stirring and gave a flag to Megan. We were at the service in Niagara Worship Center, and this woman did not know that she does that here. But she has this flag in her hand, and out of all the people there, she could have walked up to me and said, here, take this. It wouldn't have been the same. I'd go, you take it. I'm not going up the front flag myself in New Church. But they walked up to Megan, picked her out of the crowd, and the lady said, the Lord told me to give this flag. You're supposed to flag here. Someone stirred in her heart to bring you the flag. Guys, don't get so picking. Seriously, sometimes a stirring is prophetic. You just feel something, and that's prophetic. Niagara Now began that way. So there's a stirring in my heart to bring them together. Then one day I'm sitting in the sanctuary praying about this. We always do we've done a fall conference in November. So I'm sitting there praying on a Wednesday, just worshiping and saying, God, just lead me and guide me in this for this conference. And all of a sudden the stirring took another step and went a little deeper. And I realized I was supposed to bring the people together, not for a barbecue. But God had a job. Now, I didn't know what the job was yet. Just to bring them together. David had a stirring. And I'm so glad he did. Because his stirring brings us to the tabernacle of David. That God says, I want rebuilt. So, you there? 1 Chronicles 13. David consulted with the commanders of thousands and of hundreds, with every leader. He didn't have a barbecue, I don't think. But he did kind of what I did. It kind of got together with people. And David said to all the assembly of Israel, if it seems good to you, and from the Lord our God, I've had a stirring. That's in the Dale version right there, the stirring. Let us send abroad to our brothers who remain in all the lands of Israel, as well as to the priests and Levites in the cities that have pasture lands, that they may gather to us. Then let us bring again the ark of our God to us, for we did not seek it in the days of Saul. And all the assembly agreed to do so, for the thing was right in the eyes of the Lord. That's what happened. I emailed all these pastors and leaders and said, here's what I'm feeling. God has something for us to do. There's a regional thing or something we're supposed to do. I don't really know what it is, but I have a stirring. If it's in your heart, you email me back and say yes or no or whatever. Every one of them said, we feel it too. You guys, it's not hard to be prophetic. Just listen to the stirrings that are going on in your heart and follow them. Can I say this? If you have a stir in your heart and you don't follow it, but you want prophetic words at some other time, you may never get them. Because God may be moving you into a prophetic realm just by stirring you up to do something. And I honestly believe this. I believe that there's an agenda for every person in the church in this season. Everybody can have an agenda that when you get up in the morning, you are excited about it, maybe a little scared, because some agendas might be pretty big. But if you want to get excited, I believe that. There's an agenda for everybody in this room. The problem is we get a stirring and we don't act upon it. Oh, but I need a prophetic word. I need a word of knowledge by Heidi Baker. Or I can't move on that. But were you stirred to something? There's going to be some dancers at the Scotia Center today, Megan. And they're professional. But they're anointed. And Jenya said they're the real deal, and she tried to show us how high they lifted their leg, she goes, they lifted it right straight up. But that ministry, it's a whole ministry of prophetic, creative arts, not just dance. But someone acted upon a stirring. And all of a sudden, it's a ministry. And come on, are you guys hearing this? If you will obey the stirring of your soul and at least take it to the next level, you will all of a sudden go, wow, God, I am moving in some powerful stuff here. But it simply began with a stirring that you may not fully have understood. Now, so David assembled all Israel from the Nile of Egypt to Lebo-Hamath to bring the ark of God from Kiriath-Jearim. And David and all Israel went up to Baalal, that is Kiriath-Jearim, that belongs to Judah, to bring up from there the ark of God, which is called by the name of the Lord, who sits enthroned above the cherubim. And they carried the ark of God on a new cart from the house of Abinadab and Uzzah and Ohio. Okay, Uzzah and Ohio, or whatever I would say it, those are his two sons, and they're priests. You need to know that in the story. They're priests. Okay, so, and David and all Israel were celebrating before God with all their might, with song and lyres and harps and tambourines and cymbals and trumpets. And when they came to the threshing floor of Chidon, Uzzah put out his hand to take hold of the ark, for the oxen stumbled. How many are glad you don't need oxen to pull your car today? How many horsepower? Oh, no, I got ox power. 5 ox power. Got the new car down at the Chevy the other day. 6 ox power coming up next year. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and he struck him down because he put out his hand to the ark, and he died there before God. Wow. And David, this is amazing. He's doing this for God. Seriously. And he's doing this for God. He wants the ark back. He was stirred in his spirit, and he went after it, and this happens. And he's angry. He's angry at God. How many have ever been angry at God? Things didn't quite turn out the way you wanted, the way you thought they should. Can I suggest this, and I'm going to go on. When there's questions in your life and you're saying, God, I cannot follow you unless I get the answers to why did this happen. A lot of people there going, I don't understand what happened. I don't know why did that happen to me. I don't know why I went through that. And they get to a place where they're angry, they're discouraged, depressed, and they kind of stop following God. Do you know where the problem came from? It's when they asked him why, and they didn't get an answer. And then they quit. Can I suggest this to you? And then I'm going to go on. Don't even bother asking. Most times it's a hole that's going to sink you down so deep you'll never get out of it. Don't bother. It's usually a hole that's going to soak you and sink you and take you down deeper and deeper and deeper. Because here's what often happens. When you go down that and you finally get an answer, then you get angry at the answer. And then you wonder, well, why that? And then after that you go, well, is that the way he cares about me? It's a hole that will sink you. I don't know anybody who's ever found the answer and was satisfied with, Why not just say, okay, God, I don't understand, but you're good. Good. And because I don't understand, but I know you're good, I'll just keep pursuing you. I'll just live my life for you. I don't need to have the answers. Maybe one day you'll tell me. Maybe one day when I stand face to face with you in heaven, and maybe then, and then I'll understand. But for now, my relationship with you is so good I don't need the answer. And I'm going to tell you something, a lot will come out of that, but what really will come out of that is your own strength and your growth. I mean, think about this. How strong are you if you can walk away from something and go, I put that question down, I put it to bed, I put it to rest, and I go on with God. Those are the kind of people God is going to use. Come on. Those are the kind of people God's going to use, not the ones who have to have an answer for everything. So anyways, David's angry. And David was angry because the Lord had broken out against Uzzah. And that place is called Perez Uzzah to this day. And David was afraid of God that day. And he said, how can I bring the ark of God home to me? This is crazy. People die on my watch. Not a good plan if you're in charge. You know, I don't want someone dying on this Scotia Bank. Do you understand? He was doing this for God. And he was angry at God. This is the way you treat me when I do this for you? And so David was afraid of God now. He moved from not just being angry, now he's afraid. Not a good thing to be afraid and angry of God. And so David did not take the ark home into the city of David. So I'm asking you a question. What are you doing with the presents? What are you doing? And I've already started at the beginning by saying you have to do something with it. You can't ignore it, say, well, he's everywhere, so why should I do? No, you have to do something with the presents. You can't just say, well, he's everywhere, so I can ignore him. So David, unfortunately, because he got angry and afraid, did not take the ark home into the city of David. And understand that was his journey. Do you understand that was his journey? That was the journey. How many here have not completed the journey because you got angry and afraid of God and you stopped? You were asking questions you didn't get answers for and you stopped. And you're still stopped. You're still stopped. I feel sorry for you. Because God's got this incredible destiny for you, but you're angry and you're afraid, and you're probably still back 5 years old because you didn't move forward. Right? Smile at your neighbor and say, did you move on? So David did not take the ark home into the city of David, but took it aside to the house of Obed-Edom, the Gittite. You remember Obed-Edom, right? We're going to talk about it in a minute. And the ark of God remained with the household of Obed-Edom in his house 3 months. And the Lord blessed the household of Obed-Edom and all that he had. This kept coming up yesterday during the day, that God is good and he wants to bless. It kept coming up. As the worship was going on through the day and the bands were changing, this is what was so neat, is that one band was in here worshiping, and out of that came that he's good. Then the next band came in, and the same thing came out, only this time now added to it. He wants to bless you. So we followed it. One of the things I said that we need to do is that in Deuteronomy 28, God says, I want to bless you. But he also says, if you fully follow my commands, all these blessings will follow you. And so here we find Obed-Edom. Okay, here's what happened, all right? David's angry. The ark now killed somebody. And if you want to know a little more history with the ark, way back before, and I'm going to go back there in a minute, the ark killed 70 priests. 70. So David already has some history about the ark. It killed 70, say 70 priests. And now a priest dies who touches it. So David's got a little bit of history here. He's afraid of that box. This gold box with angels on it. He's afraid of it. No wonder he knew it killed 70 priests, and he now saw this one priest die. So he's going, I'm afraid. I'm also angry at you. I'm not doing this anymore. Obed-Edom's over there. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Do you know what? Obed-Edom, I found out, was from the line of Korahites that kind of were brought into the rebellion in Moses' day. And when they rebelled against Moses, God opened up the earth and the whole family went. All the dads, because they rebelled against Moses, went. And the earth went. This makes for a good movie. And they were all like, the whole entire, everything, their houses, their tents, everything. God told everybody, get away from that community where the Korahites live, because I'm about to take and open up the whole land. Can you imagine that? The whole community, a sinkhole. And the whole community, all their tents, their life, everything's going, and then the earth went. There was a few sons that were left, though. And they became known as the sons of Korahites, who then began to follow God and begin to do what was right. But there was only a few of them, so they weren't doing their purpose in God because they were just kind of lost. So Obed-Edom was actually one of the guys that was lost. And he's living off with the Philistines, and somehow people think that David probably found him, met him someday, and he finds this guy hiding away in Philistine when David was hiding as a younger man, when he was running from Saul. And he meets this guy. He finds out he's really a Levite, a Korahite of the Levites. And this was his job. This is what he was supposed to do way back before they lost in the rebellion. Understand this. You with me? So here he is. And David goes, okay, you're supposed to do this anyways. Why don't you do it? I love that. Guys, that's how somehow you can come into your destiny. Your destiny has been lost. And God, if you will follow him and be ready to go and say, I am here, I've chosen you, he'll go, good, I'm going to bring you into your destiny. Here's this priest. His destiny was to do this. That's why his family line came in the first place. They were to do this. They were to go into this tabernacle, and they were to minister before the ark. That's what these priests were supposed to do. He wasn't just there by accident. God planted him there. David met him. David found him and said, well, you know what? I'm too afraid of God. I'm angry at him. But you were supposed to in the first place. You do it. So he takes it into his home. And we believe, and scholars believe, he begins to do what a Korahite was supposed to do. They were supposed to worship in front of the ark. They were supposed to give offerings in front. They were supposed to celebrate. They were supposed to dance. They were supposed to do what David eventually does in the tabernacle of David. They were supposed to do that. He did it. He placed it probably in a prominent place in his house. And then him and his sons began to worship before the ark. Because, see, the ark, and you guys should all know this by now if you're in our church. What does the ark represent? You need to understand that, okay? It's the presence of God. So what they're doing in the house is they're worshiping in the presence of God every day, day and night. He probably got his family taking turns, 24-hour worship. And everything changed when he did this. Everything changed in his home. Everything changed. Everything changed. God began to bless Obed-Edom in such a dramatic way that David, who was angry at God, David, who was afraid of God, now all of a sudden goes, wait a second. That ark was supposed to be in my house, not in his house. I'm a Korahite at heart. Honestly, got jealous. David got jealous. It's like if I see Kurt just going after God like crazy and God starts to bless him, I'm going, hang on, I want what Kurt's got. Well, we lead you in the right way. And that's what happened. Don't think he was so spiritual. That's what happened. He's going, if God's not killing him, he's actually being blessed. I did a little study to see how Obed-Edom got blessed. He had So many grandchildren. It was unbelievable. His sons prospered. They all became very, very well astute. They became singers and songwriters. A lot of his sons are in the psalmists as writers of psalms. The God and the glory of God came upon his home that he launched not only Obed-Edom, but everybody in his family. Come on. I read Psalm 112 years ago. God was calling us to give away all our money before the kids got married. And we didn't tell them that. We've been saving money for their weddings. And about 4 months before the wedding, we just felt, first of all, we felt to give away half of it. And then, okay, God. One of them, we could split up. They could have a smaller wedding. No, we didn't say that, but so anyways, we gave that. Then one day I'm on the platform, I'm preaching. Honestly, I can remember so clearly. I'm walking and I'm preaching. And God said, do the rest now. Empty the bank. Seriously, empty the bank. Give it all. Because we were doing another offering for something else. And it's, you don't know this, but I'm starting to have a wrestling match while I'm preaching with you. That's serious, Kurt. I'm up here preaching. I'm here. God says, give it away. I can't even think about my next line. I'm just wondering, God, what? And that's what happened. So we gave this away, and where was I going with that story? Because it was tied in. Obed-Edom. Oh yeah, Psalm 112. Thank you. There we go. So Obed-Edom, his kid. Thank you. His kids were blessed like crazy. So I'm reading. So I'm going, God, is this really you? Like, you want me to empty the bank account? Really? And so then I one day I'm sitting in my office when my office was over there, and I just hear Psalm 112, and I go there, and it says, blessed is a man who fears the Lord. His children will be mighty in the land. His children will prosper, it says. Come on. There's always been a principle for those who will seek God. Blessing will come not just on you, but you and your household. It says your children will be mighty in the land. And it goes on to talk about how the man who fears the Lord gives praise and he gives his finances. And I'm going, okay, God, that's as clear as it has to get. We'll sow it away. So we did. So Obed-Edom, he's just sacrificing, giving this away to God, just pouring into it. And he gets blessed in such a way, it's noticeable. It motivated David to do the right thing. Kurt, I don't know why I keep highlighting you today, but that's what I felt with the thing, is your choices to do what's right will motivate somebody else to do what's right. And that's without preaching. That's just because your life radiates the glory. That's what happened to Obed-Edom. He didn't go preach to David. Word got to David of what God was doing. How many know this, that your life, when it radiates the glory, will be more of a testimony than if you try to share with people and yet your life does not radiate glory? Look at your neighbor and go, Preaching at your neighbor without the glory is going to get you in trouble. It'll probably get them mad at you. It'll probably get them mad at you. So anyways, Obed-Edom was getting blessed. And his family's getting blessed. Now, I want us to go back quickly. We're going to do something here. Go back to Abinadab, verse 7. And they carried the ark of God on a new cart. Say new cart. Say bad cart. Shouldn't have been there in the first place. From the house of Abinadab. Now let's tell a story. We just talked the story about Obed-Edom, right? We're okay. Everybody knows it now. You can tell your kids. Tell John. Tell your brother Reuben. He's not here. You tell him the story. Okay, Abinadab is somebody most people don't know about. They always know about Obed-Edom. Abinadab, here's what happened. The ark was lost during the reign of Saul. Saul was a king who did not give a rip about God. He started good, but he went bad very quickly. Now, the ark, here's what was supposed to happen. Kings, priests were supposed to come before the ark when they needed to know what to do. And Moses was told by God, when you come before the ark, I will come down, and there above the cherubim, there's just angels on the ark. Above the cherubim, I will meet with you. Can you imagine this? I don't know if it was a cloud or what. But he said, there I will meet with you, and I will give you my instructions for Israel. You ever wondered how Moses knew what to do? That's how it happened. He didn't just walk on a cart, on a path, and go, oh God, we'll do that. No, God actually told him. So now we find out from David that no one did that during the entire reign of Saul. So Saul became very evil because he did not ask God what to do. He really did even more. He went, do you know what he did? Instead of going before the ark, he actually went to a witch and had a seance and called up the dead. Isn't that stupid? Instead of coming to God who's got an answer, he went to a witch. People do that today. Do you know why they do that today? Because the church appears to not have any answers, but witches seem to. Because witches seem to have power. In the church, well, yeah, that's an ouch. And God gave the prophetic gifts to the church. God gave the prophetic gifts to the church, and yet the witches are using his gifts. They perverted them, they defiled them. All these houses where you can go and have your fortune told, they're using powers that God gave, if they're for real. Some of them are just phony. But if they are for real, they're not using devil's gifts. He doesn't God gifts. They just took God's gifts of knowledge, word of discernment, all those things, and put the evil spin on it. So instead of Saul going to the ark, to God, he goes to a witch. So Israel became very evil, became very godless, became very, no. And so God says, okay, fine. That's what you want to do, fine. I'm going to back away. See, the ark actually gave them protection. And see, before that, they would take the ark into battle when they went to war. And when they went to war, they would actually, it's crazy, come on. There's no, maybe the ark has some guns that come from the top. They actually took the ark in front of the soldiers, and when they took the ark out, they won all the time. Saul liked that part. So one day they took it out, and God's going, it's just a box today. It's just a box today. I'm not there. And they lost. The Philistines won. They took the ark from them, because they always take possessions when they win. They took the ark, and now Israel doesn't even have the ark anymore. The presence. They're now without the presence. Well, no one noticed because Saul wasn't doing anything anyways. So they've lost the ark. Now, I don't have time to go into the whole story. It's so exciting to see what happens. God goes, okay, it was nothing. To the Philistines, they're going to die if they do anything with this thing. And they all get sick, and they get boils and plagues and cancer and all this stuff. And so they get rid of the thing. They throw the ark on a cart. The Philistines throw it on a cart behind a cow. And they send it off. And no one wants it. And that's a real fast version, because everybody's getting sick when it was around. They just kept trying to pass it. You take it. No. And then somebody goes, okay, we'll take it. So they take it. And then everybody in their city, all the men start getting sick. You take it. And they're trying to get rid of it. No one wants it. So they make these idols and these thing of mice, these golden mice to represent it just looks crazy. And they send it off. Eventually it gets back to Israel. They find it. And people go, well, what should we do with it? What should we do with it? Israel, what should we do with it? Abinadab takes it. Okay? That's why it lands up in the house of Abinadab. He's a priest. So now he has this thing, I don't know, like 20 years? If you do a study, I'm trying to remember. I think it's 20. It's a long time. Time. So now David becomes king. He's in Hebron for 7 years. Now he's going to move to Jerusalem. And there he says, I want it back. And here's where Abinadab's name comes up again. Now what I want you to see this morning is the comparison. Abinadab had sons. They were Uzzah and Ahio, or whatever his name is. The end result of Abinadab was that his son dies. The end result of Obed-Edom's sons is that they prosper and they have children and they flourish and they become writers, they become singers and poets, and they get blessed. Obed-Edom, I did a comparison with Obed-Edom to all the other. He was a gatekeeper, he was a doorkeeper in the house of God. I did a little study and went back. All his contemporaries from his day, he excelled beyond them, even his kids. His contemporaries had maybe 16 sons kids or whatever. His descendants, he had 68. 68. So now what I want us to do is compare. That's with grandchildren and everything, not 68 kids. With grandchildren and kids and grandchildren. The whole clan for Christmas dinner. 68. Our house, we definitely need a new house. We can't even get our clan in there now, in our dining room. Compare it. Abinadab. Son dies. What comes out of that is anger, it's frustration, pain, suffering. Obed-Edom takes the ark. What is the difference? And that's where I want to come down today to end it. I'm going to ask you the question I started with. What are you doing with the presence of God? Abinadab, what we believe happened is, if you look at this, the reason it went where it was, the reason Uzzah did what he did, he should have known better. He should have known better. But it was believed that Abinadab took the ark and put it in the corner and put a sheet up or something, and that's where it stayed. No one reverenced it in his home. No one came before it and worshiped. No one acknowledged God was even in the house. No one did what they were supposed to do with the ark and begin to worship, begin to sing praises, light the candles, keep the ark, keep the ark of the Lord, the lamp of the Lord lit. No one did anything. No one reverenced it. So when they're on this journey, Abinadab's son Uzzah was irreverent. Some passages say the Lord did this because of his irreverent act, because he no longer had reverence for that, because he became very accustomed to it. So much so that, it's an important box, but I can take care of it. He did an irreverent act because he never learned to honor the Lord. He never learned to honor the presence. He never learned to truly entreat the presence of God. So this morning I sat down and said, God, what are you saying to our church today? And the question came simply as, what are you doing with the presence of God? Look at the outcome of two families. Look at the outcome. Look at the outcome. Moms, dads, your children will reap the fruit of your decisions, of how you live, of more importantly, of what you do with the presence. If you neglect it, if you treat it as minimal, if you ignore it like Abinadab did, then your kids will become irreverent towards the presence. They will become irreverent towards the presence and one day do stuff that is very silly, like Uzzah did. He should have known better. You don't do that. He should have known better. On the other hand, Obed-Edom took it. How many of those? He didn't plan for this. He didn't plan for this. It was brought to him. Destiny brought to him. You know what I believe why it happened? Because in his heart, he was a worshiper. And God said, that man can host my presence. That man will host us well. Come on. And because of that, God blessed him so amazingly in a period of 3 months. So do you want to be Abinadab or do you want to be Obed-Edom? What do you want? Come on. Even your children will benefit. Your grandchildren will benefit. What are you doing with the presence? Stand.